Talk Sports. My name is Adrian Gonzalez, the Big A, and here with me for the second week in a row, we have the Big Cheeto, Brian Balsito. How are you doing today, Brian?
What's up, Adrian? How are you?
I'm doing well. Today's show is going to be brought to you by Campbell's Soup and hot tea. So,
Feeling a little under the weather, are we?
oh, yeah. A little better than Josh Hamilton, but we'll get to that in a bit.
There you go.
For the first time ever, when we start off with baseball, we're not starting off with our local teams. We are going to start off with Baltimore versus Chicago White Sox.
Playing in that empty stadium today.
Most polite crowd you could get in Baltimore right now.
Yeah, I think so. Must have been like an Angel game before the 2002 World Series.
It's like Tampa Bay now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's where, unfortunately for Baltimore, they're headed to Tampa Bay this weekend.
For their home game.
For their home games, which is a little bit odd.
Not much of a game. 11-2 blowout. Jeff Samardzija got lit up. I like the Shark. Go Irish. But it was fun for baseball to see it in a little dark spot. Vin Scully said it was for good reason that we had no crowd, and for reasons that would break your heart, is what Vin said.
I can agree with Vin there. I think they made the right decision. Hopefully things get straightened out down there and we get moving in a peaceful direction.
I like the sense of humor that some of these players had. Adam Eaton tweeting before the game saying, "We're going to do our best to take the crowd out early. Wish us luck."
Yeah, that was a genius comment by him.
My God. I love a good comedy bit every once in a while. And that was really good.
Absolutely. I think a big story this week that needs to be covered is the Josh Hamilton story.
Absolutely, Josh Hamilton needs to be covered. Back, I'm home is what he says when he went back to Texas this week.
Yeah, and the back and forth between he and Mike Scioscia got a little bit testy. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a rivalry going forward. It's an interesting situation there. You know, Hamilton signing that big 5-year, $125 million deal 2 years ago, and not really living up to it for his first 2 seasons. It kind of appeared that at the first sign of some weakness for him, the Angels kind of dropped the hammer and went looking in other directions. Kind of can't blame them. It is a business at the end of the day.
Absolutely. If my friends wanted to, if my worst enemy, I might be stretching it there, but if an enemy of mine wanted to pay me $68 million to go home, have at it.
Yeah, and it sounds like Artie Moreno from the Angels, the Angels are gonna eat about $68 million of that deal, and the Rangers are gonna pick it up. And maybe it's at the end of the day, maybe it's what's best for all parties. Hamilton had arguably the best years of his career in Texas.
Texas has proved that they can handle Josh Hamilton.
Right. They had some systems in place to keep him in check and make sure he was doing the right things. Addiction sounds like a nasty thing to be battling, so hopefully he goes in the right direction and the Angels get better for it too. So.
And he did become the face of addiction for a bit, and he gave some people some hope. Hopefully Texas will be able to pop that sparkling water at the end of the season.
There you go. How about some Pete Rose news as well?
Pete Rose in baseball.
Yeah, the commissioner comes out recently and says he has no bias against Pete Rose, and he is going to allow him to participate in All-Star festivities.
I mean, good old Charlie Hustle. He's a good man, and we all have our vices, and I think what we have in baseball now with substance abuse and fights, gambling seems low on the spectrum.
Yeah, I always kind of felt like the suspension, the ban, was a little heavy-handed.
Right.
Pete already asked for reinstatement, but it was never addressed by Bud Selig, so it sounds like Commissioner Manfred is going to jump in here. He says he deserves a fair hearing, and he has his staff collecting all information about the ban, so we could see Pete Rose back in the game. We're going to see him on Fox coverage because they've hired him as an analyst for Fox and Fox Sports 1. So
that's awesome. Do the thing, Commish. Do what's right. Get Pete reinstated. Enact a suspension and that suspension.
Let's hope Pete is as entertaining as the Chuckster Charles Barkley is on NBA coverage.
I would love to hear Pete Rose rant.
Yeah, so let's you got two National League fans here. Let's talk about the other thing that came out this week with a couple injuries happening with pitchers batting, and Max Scherzer bringing into play the possibility that the DH should be in the American League.
Shut it, Scherz.
Yeah, I agree.
It's I don't even want to see the DH in the AL. No job of mine has ever paid me full pay to do half my job.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I kind of like my boy Madison Bumgarner, coming out with the, saying, you guys got to man up. He said Scherzer really didn't have a problem signing the $210 million contract in the offseason to come to the National League. So
Absolutely.
the strategy that the pitcher's batting brings into play on offense and on defense for a manager is what makes National League Baseball great.
Also, you've just let every other pitcher know in your league that you are afraid to bat.
Yeah, this is true.
You never show that weakness.
This is true.
Moving on, speaking of Dodgers and Giants, we have the Dodgers versus Giants tonight. Game 3 of the series. It's a rubber match, and as of right now, the Dodgers are up 7-3. But leave it to the Giants to stop another Dodger streak. 8-game home streak stopped over Kershaw, of all people.
Yeah, Bumgarner pitched a beauty last night. Unfortunately for us tonight, we threw Vogelsong, our pitching machine, out onto the mound tonight.
It's okay. Greinke was a pitching machine tonight also, and if it wasn't for the leather of Jock Peterson and definitely Andre Ethier, we would be talking about a completely different game right now.
3 Dodger bombs in the first inning off of Vogelsong. I'm
3.
hoping that he doesn't go on the DL with whiplash, because it sounds like he was looking back to the fence quite a bit.
I think we're going to put handlebars on the fence when the Giants come by when Vogelsong pitches.
And I say it sounds like, because, I can't see Dodgers-Giants because I have DirecTV and not Time Warner Cable. So, hey, Time Warner Cable, let's...
I'm lucky enough to live where I get Time Warner Cable. I'm not saying
somebody get that deal done.
Yeah.
As a Giants fan, I'm looking at it and going, the Dodgers are a fabric in Southern California, and for 70% or so of what they say, Southern California can't see the Dodgers on a nightly basis.
70%.
That's just silly.
Ice-T said, I know we're a family show, but Ice-T said, I'm going to kick someone's ass. He says we're losing generations of Dodger fans due to this blackout, and I tend to agree. That's how I became a fan, sitting on my dad's belly watching the game and hearing it, but who knows if I would even be a Dodger fan without sitting on a falling asleep man.
That's a good point that Mr. T. Oh wait, no, that's a different guy. Ice-T brings up, because baseball's already.
Ice Cube. I apologize, Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. All right. Well, baseball's already losing out on some fans because we're in that generation where people think that baseball is too slow and boring. And if you take the game away from fans who bring their children up as that being part of their family, as part of their daily life, it just you might lose it. I could see that happening.
Absolutely. Going a little bit south, we've got Angels versus Oakland today. Battle of the sub 500 teams.
Yeah, they both have been struggling to get it going, and both of them are looking up in the standings at the Houston Astros, who, as of today, are 14-7 after taking out the Padres today.
Beating them 7-2. What's interesting to me is we were talking big about Mike Trout last week, and not to take anything away from Trout, but Freeze seems to be catching up in a lot of the stats columns.
Yeah, he's a good ball player, and he's clutch too. He's hit some big home runs in his career. These teams, they better get it together before the Astros leave them in the dust, because the Astros have a lot of young talent. Their pitcher, Dallas Keuchel, with his 3rd win today. This guy is a really good up and coming young talent. So I would keep an eye on him.
Angels have a big a series coming up against the Astros next week, and a little shout out to the Max Love Project. If you want to go see that game and give a little bit of money towards a good cause, before you buy your tickets in the code area, type in Max Love, and you can sit in a special section and help strike out cancer. Max, I know you. I love you. Here's to you guys. Audra and Justin, his parents.
That's a great cause.
Off the Top Sports is one of your biggest fans.
That's a great cause.
Before we move on from baseball, we got to give a couple of get well soons, and we're thinking of you. First is Gibby. Kirk Gibson diagnosed this week with Parkinson's, and I don't know too many people with Parkinson's, but those that I do know, it's not a fun fight.
Gibby always struck me as a guy that never backed down from anything, so I kind of feel like he's going to come out swinging and really handle this like the stud that he is.
Absolutely.
This guy was a beast when he was a player, and he handled his managing career the same way, so get well, Gibby.
Any city he's ever been in, people just love the guy, and I know throughout his career he's going to always be more known as a Tiger than a Dodger, but he's the reason why I wanted to wear number 23 as a kid. So here's to him. And then we have Archie Bradley, if anyone's seen his Twitter, check it out. He's got some serious face damage, crushed sinuses from what I understand, line drive to the face. So
yeah, we actually posted that on the Off the Top Facebook page last night. It's a pretty brutal line drive that Carlos Gonzalez hit.
And Vin Scully the other day, I do a lot of Vin Scully quotes, by the way.
Rightfully so.
Was saying that Cargo's bat speed is 115 miles per hour.
Yeah, that ball came back in a flash.
So get well, Archie, Gibby. We're rooting for you. Both of you guys are amazing people to be out there playing ball. Moving on to basketball, and I don't have the score in front of me right now, but the only game that's happening tonight is the Trailblazers versus the Grizzlies.
Memphis took them down 99-93, so they advance.
There we go.
That's 4-1.
There you go.
In the earlier game tonight, the Atlanta Hawks took control back in their series 107-97. So that's 3-2 going to Game 6 back in Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn.
And the Rockets in Dallas series is over. Rockets beating the Mavericks 4-1 in the series. That may have cost a certain social media manager his job.
Oh yeah.
Way to promote horse shootings there.
Yeah, if nobody saw that, he posted on their Twitter account.
Yes.
A picture, a cartoon picture of a horse. Yeah, with a gun to its head and said, "Just let it happen." Not the smartest of moves.
Well, and I have no response to that.
It got kind of ugly in that series too for Dallas too, because one Rajon Rondo had a terrible start to the series, and basically the coach pulled the plug on him. He's a free agent, and there's a lot of rumors he may end up in Lakerland.
And no bonus, by the way.
Yeah, right.
So we have a little visitor in the studio.
A couple other things in the NBA playoffs that are big stories right now. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to go into the next round without J.R. Smith for the first two games because of that sucker punch he leveled on Jay Crowder. Knocked him clean out.
That's a shame. You can't think of yourself and cheap shot someone.
Absolutely. You're up 3-0 in a series and you're leading comfortably in game 4, and you get a little tangled up under the basket, and that's how you respond. It's really not smart. And Kevin Love, probably not going to be back during the playoffs at all because of a separated shoulder after getting into it with Kelly Olynyk.
That was gruesome. Textbook shoulder separation. Whenever you have that arm extended out to the side and you have the pressure on the back, that is coming out. I could find clips everywhere of that happening.
Yeah, that was kind of like a MMA type of thing.
You should try it. It's a fun sport. Speaking of Clippers tomorrow versus the Spurs. They're down 2-3. Do you think the Clippers have what it takes?
It's going to be tough. That means winning 2 straight games in San Antonio, because they took Game 4 in San Antonio. Now they got to take Game 6. It's a tall order against the champs.
Lob City, get on it.
Yeah, I think if they come focused and they share the ball and spread the court, They should do pretty well. Hopefully that turns out positive for them, because there's no better words in sports than Game 7. So a Game 7 between the Spurs and the Clippers would be epic.
Unless you're a hockey fan and you were up 3-0, and Game 7 is it's a scary word.
You're right. You're right.
Going to hockey, Game 7 tonight, wings are out. It's a good thing for for hockey when the Red Wings are doing well, but to lose to Tampa Bay the way they did is
Yeah, they got shut out tonight, 2-0.
it's kind of heartbreaking. So we have the second round all set.
Yeah, it should be pretty good with the Ducks are playing the Wild?
Calgary.
Calgary, the Flames.
Calgary.
There you go.
So
And Chicago playing the Wild. So
there you go.
that could set up for a really nice Western Conference Finals if we get the Ducks and the Blackhawks.
I think if there's any true dynasty within the last 5 years, it's got to be the Blackhawks. They are always in the talk, and they are always right up there to
Yes,
challenge anybody.
Yes, they are.
They're not an easy team to go through.
They got that championship experience that makes them a tough out.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, the start of the NFL draft.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it should be pretty good. It's going to be kind of odd because, you know, your two marquee players that everybody's talking about, Jameis Winston from Florida State and Marcus Mariota from Oregon, neither of them are attending the draft.
I think that's the new thing now. You don't want to seem too zealous, and you do want to share that special moment with your family, and good on them for that.
So what's your thought? You're a GM. You're sitting there with the number one pick. Who's your pick?
Mariota.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I like Jameis Winston. I think he's a fun player. I think he's flashy. He's got small hands, and Mariota I just see him going further. They're both smart guys. They're both super athletic, but I think Mariota owns up to more of his mistakes than Jameis Winston does.
Yeah, and they're saying that both of them tested off the charts in the testing that they do, the Wonderlic test that they give these guys. They said that Winston and Mariota both scored up around Peyton Manning level.
Maybe you flip a coin?
Yeah. I think you can't go wrong with either one of them. I think that they both possess the skill set to be NFL quarterbacks, especially with the mobility that the NFL quarterback needs to play with in this day and age.
I remember as a kid just watching football players stand there to throw a ball. Now you have to run like mad.
Yep, they're like track guys. There's another interesting thing that I had a question to ask you. Do you think Adrian Peterson, will be a Viking by the time the draft is over? Because there's strong rumors he might get traded during the draft to the Cardinals.
I hear all sorts of trade rumors with Adrian Peterson. I hear Cowboys. I hear Cardinals. I hear Vikings. One. I don't know what I think about Adrian Peterson right now. It's the quickest I've ever changed my mind on someone. I loved him. I was a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of anybody named Adrian. I'm going to put that out there. But I think this day and age, there's no need to put your hands on a kid like that. So right now, it's hard for me to be non-biased when I'm kind of so angry at the guy.
Right. It'll be interesting to see where he lands.
We're 3 days away from a big fight.
That we are.
And it's a commissioned fight. I heard they did their drug test. Both fighters, they did their drug test. And it's sanctioned and it's ready. And those drug tests were done in 2009.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've read through the rumor mill, and I was hoping boxing would be up on their drug testing a little bit more like the UFC is, but maybe it means a faster, stronger fight for these two fighters.
Right. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think we're in for a long fight. I'm thinking in the 8, 9, 10 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's a couple different questions people have with this, and well, first person that comes to my mind who chimed in today was Muhammad Ali. He calls out Mayweather and says, "Remember, I'm still the greatest." If Mayweather wins this fight, does that put him in the talk for one of the greatest fighters ever, or does that put him in the talk for one of the most manipulated fighters ever, meaning he controlled who he fought, when they fought, and made him jump through hoops to get to him.
Right. I'm kind of on the side that he's proved quite a bit over his career, and if he wins on Saturday, he'll have an unblemished record and have beaten maybe 5 years too late, but still have beaten the guy that would be looked at as probably his toughest challenge. So I would have to say he's in the discussion, but I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Ali and say he's unquestionably the greatest ever.
Absolutely. I mean, Mayweather is an amazing fighter, and I don't mean to take anything away from him, but it'll be interesting to hear what people have to say.
I think he does a good job of taking away from himself sometimes because he does rub people the wrong way quite a bit.
Maybe I would like him more if he didn't hang out with Justin Bieber so much.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Some people are also calling this fight the death of boxing, that there's no good fight, and I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that we have some kids out there who are who don't want to do UFC, who love the sport of boxing, who come from strong boxing families, and I'm hoping the future's still out there. And
I agree. As I touched on last week, I'd love to see a U.S. born heavyweight fighter get on the scene.
Absolutely.
The Klitschko's have been wrecking shop for a while now. So hopefully we can get somebody on the marquee at Madison Square Garden with a fight here pretty soon.
Speaking of fights, UFC, Jon Jones is out. He is no longer the champ. Alleged hit and run. It's a bummer.
Not a good look for Mr. Jones. Props to Dana White for stepping in and stripping him of his title, because you don't want some PR nonsense like that messing up what is a well-oiled machine.
No, and then and I like Jon Jones. It would be really hard for me to find a UFC fighter that I don't like. I tend to like them all and enjoy the fights. Jon Jones is, with all his problems, has been a very nice man to his fans and to the sport.
Right.
He's gonna lose that Reebok money.
Yep. He tweeted today saying that he needs to do some soul searching, and he's sorry for everybody that he let down with this incident. So it opens the door for a championship fight, correct?
It does. DC, Daniel Cormier versus Anthony Johnson, UFC 187. I believe that's one of the free UFC fights this year. If it's a championship fight, that's a good price to pay.
There you go. Every door that closes usually opens another. So we got two fighters that are going to get a chance at the belt. It's just unfortunate we don't get to see them actually take out the champion themselves.
And that's the way I would have liked to see it. But I like both DC and Anthony Johnson. DC loves to run his mouth, and I love mouth runners. They just make it fun. And
Yep. The trash talk is always a good thing.
But good luck to both of you gentlemen. I will be watching, and one of you guys is going to get a new belt.
Yes, sir.
Going back to last week's MMA news in the UFC, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, I predicted a decision. I was close. He submitted Kyoji Horiguchi in the 5th round. It was a very close fight, I think, but in the sense of actually kicking butt, Mighty Mouse handled his business, and Kyoji is not a joke, and to do that to that man, that was incredible.
So Mighty Mouse actually saved the day, huh?
Mighty Mouse saved the day. We need a pun jar.
Yeah.
And every time someone
if I throw out another bad pun like that, I'll put $1 instead of a quarter.
I've heard my puns. I would be broke. Other fight, and I can't believe I didn't talk about this fight last week. It just kind of didn't cross my mind. But Rampage Jackson is back, defeating Fabio Maldonado by decision, which is way out of Rampage's repertoire. He was calling for a knockout, but
that's usually his calling card, right?
That's his calling card. The guy's a beast, and he apologized for not knocking him out. He said, "It's not that I was not that Fabio was too good, it's that I was rusty or something along those lines. But he gave a lot of credit to Fabio for being such a great fighter, and he said it was no easy task even getting the decision.
It's nice to hear a guy give a little bit of self-critique like that.
Absolutely, and Rampage just pretty much hit him at will. He took all the open spots he could, and then the other fight was Bisbing versus Dollaway, CB Dollaway. Bisbing just handled that. That was he was taken down twice by Dollaway, but other than that, if you're lucky enough to get a takedown against Bisbing, chances are he's resting his arms. The guy's a good striker, and I know a couple of my lady friends out there like the guy, so good on him. He's having a great UFC career.
Speaking of strikers and changing a little bit of the way we're headed here, we're going to go over to golf, and we have some sad news out of golf today.
Absolutely. Calvin Peete, self-taught golfer.
Yeah, 71 years old, passed away. So thoughts and prayers to him, to his family, and thank you for all the memories, Mr. Peete.
And thank you for the impact you had on golf. Before Tiger Woods, there was Calvin Peete. He was the most dominant African-American golfer before Tiger Woods. And I'm lost for words at this loss in golf. But Calvin Peete, there isn't too many self-taught golfers anymore.
Yeah, and we're in a new era of golf with all these young guys coming up. Speaking of Tiger Woods, he seems to have created a generation of golfers who want to catch up to him and are surpassing him. Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, guys like that. So
Absolutely.
the game is ripe with young talent.
Maybe
they can teach me how to hit the ball straight.
I was gonna say maybe they can get rid of my hook.
Yeah, there you go.
We're gonna talk about high school sports, and it's weird because we don't have Josh's high school football team to talk about right now. And good luck to you guys if you guys are listening. California bat and ball sports has a weird rule. If you're in a tournament and you go into extra innings, lead off batter automatically gets second base.
Yeah, that's a little odd. That's kind of like how the Dodgers were playing against the Giants today with Vogelsong on the mound. Guys were on base all the time. But yeah, so we had a pitcher in a softball game strike out 23 out of 24 batters and lose the game as she was pitching a perfect game in a softball game.
Absolutely. Shout out to Rachel Garcia. She's going to UCLA next year.
Nice.
I think it's next year.
Staying local.
But yeah, she's out of Palm Springs. She was playing against Camarillo. She's the only pitcher I have ever heard of lose a perfect game.
Yeah, you got that strange rule that you alluded to that led to her losing because the batter on second advanced to third on a wild pitch and home on a wild throw by the catcher. Her squad could not score in the bottom half of the inning, and there you have it, a perfect game.
Absolutely. So shout out to you, Rachel. Something tells me you're going to be all right in softball.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and she's headed to UCLA. And speaking of the Bruins, just a quick shout out to their men's baseball team. They are tearing it up. They are sitting at second in the country this year as we get closer and closer to tournament play.
And I do know that they are going to be going against my Cal State Fullerton Titans soon, who just beat USC, so they're no strangers to beating ranked teams. One more little note that we're going to add late to the show, and I apologize if this is killing any of your guys' time. According to the OC Weekly, it's a little local Orange County newspaper. Gustavo Arellano is the editor. I love that guy. They did an article, and it's titled, "Your Anaheim Angels have no African American players on their roster for the first time, ... ever? Question mark. What's your take on that?
That's interesting to hear. My first take on that would be it could be an indication of what we've been hearing for the last few years about how inner city youth are moving away from playing baseball and moving more to the football field and the basketball courts than they are the baseball field. So I think it's something that takes a little bit of research to get to the bottom of. I'd be interested to know how many other teams rosters are constituted that way.
Absolutely. And Artie Moreno is such a class act that this would not be anything that's intentional, and nor would Off the Top Sports like to make that claim at all.
No. It's an interesting footnote.
It's exactly that. It's a footnote. And, you had Rod Carew there, and you had some other great African-American players Torrey Hunter, just to name a couple of the
Gary
guys.
Pettis.
Absolutely. And
Devon White.
Devon White.
There's another name.
I got that guy's autograph when I was a kid.
You brought up Mr. Rod Carew. A little known fact about him is he's actually from Panama. And he was my favorite player when I was a little kid. And I actually have his autograph that's signed on my birthday.
Awesome.
So it's pretty awesome. He was a great hitter. But yeah, that's an interesting footnote that was brought about by the, what'd you say, the OC Weekly?
The OC Weekly.
So Off the Top might have to do some more research just
Absolutely.
to see what that's all about. I think it's more just about probably talent coming up through the Angels system. Somebody's beat somebody out some way, some way up the ladder. So
yeah, we'll talk more about that later, or at least we'll post it on our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, check us out on Twitter, and check us out on YouTube. Obviously, is probably what you're doing now. For Off the Top Sports, my name is Adrian Gonzalez.
And I'm Brian Belcito. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good night, folks.